Have you ever noticed how some people seem to attract money like a magnet, while others struggle no matter how hard they work? It's as if they know a secret that most of us don't. Well, today I'm going to share that secret with you. Welcome to Threshold of Thought. I'm your host, and today we're diving into what I call the abundance principle, the hidden law that shapes your financial reality, whether you know about it or not. This isn't another video about positive thinking or visualization techniques. This is about understanding the actual mechanics of how money flows in response to your consciousness. By the end of our time together, you'll see money in a completely different way, and you'll have practical tools to transform your financial life from the inside out. Let me ask you something. Have you ever received unexpected money right when you needed it? Or noticed that sometimes money seems to flow easily, while at other times it feels like you're pushing against a brick wall? These aren't random occurrences. They're direct reflections of your relationship with the abundance principle. Most people spend their entire lives chasing money, never realizing they're running in the wrong direction. They work harder, save more, invest wisely, all good things, but they miss the fundamental force that determines financial success. It's like trying to grow a garden by arranging the plants without understanding sunlight and water. You might get lucky, but you won't get consistent results. The truth is that your financial reality isn't primarily determined by external factors like the economy, your job, or even your education. These things matter, of course, but they're secondary to something far more powerful: your relationship with abundance itself. This relationship shapes everything from the opportunities you notice to the decisions you make to the results you ultimately create. I discovered this principle after years of financial struggle. Despite doing everything right according to conventional wisdom, I couldn't seem to break through to the level of abundance I desired. It wasn't until I looked beyond the obvious that I found the missing piece: the invisible law that governs how money flows. This discovery changed everything for me, and it can do the same for you. What makes the abundance principle so powerful is that it works regardless of your starting point. I've seen it transform the finances of people from all walks of life, from those deeply in debt to successful professionals looking to reach new heights. The principle doesn't discriminate based on background, education, or current circumstances. It responds solely to how you relate to it. In the next hour, I'll break down exactly how this principle works, why it's been hidden from most people, and most importantly, how you can apply it to create dramatic financial transformation in your own life. This isn't theory or philosophy. It's a practical approach to working with the fundamental laws that govern financial reality. Before we go further, let's address the elephant in the room. We live in a world obsessed with scarcity. From an early age, we're taught that there's never enough, not enough money, not enough time, not enough opportunity. This scarcity mindset isn't just in our heads. It's built into our economic systems, our educational approaches, and our social structures. But here's the thing: we live in a universe of mind-boggling abundance. Just look at nature. A single apple tree produces thousands of seeds, each with the potential to create thousands more trees. The ocean teems with billions of life forms. The night sky contains countless stars. Abundance isn't the exception in nature, it's the rule. So why do we humans live with such a deep belief in not enough? It's because we've been programmed to see scarcity even when surrounded by plenty. This programming runs so deep that it shapes what we can and cannot perceive about money. It's like wearing dark glasses and wondering why everything looks dim. Our financial institutions reinforce this scarcity programming. Banks thrive on your fear of not having enough. Media profits from keeping you worried about economic collapse. Even well-meaning parents pass down scarcity beliefs to their children, thinking they're teaching responsibility when they're actually installing limitation. The result is a collective hypnosis, a shared trance in which we all agree that resources are limited, that struggle is necessary, and that financial anxiety is normal. We've normalized scarcity to such an extent that abundance feels suspicious or even wrong to many people. We've created a world where lack seems more real than plenty. This scarcity trance affects everything from how you feel about asking for a raise to how you respond to unexpected expenses. It influences whether you see opportunities or obstacles when looking at the same situation as someone else. It determines whether money flows toward you or away from you in the course of your daily life. Breaking free from this trance is the first step toward activating the abundance principle in your life. It requires recognizing that your perception of financial reality isn't objective truth. It's a conditioned response based on programming you received long before you could critically evaluate it. This recognition alone begins to loosen scarcity's grip on your consciousness. The good news is that what has been programmed can be reprogrammed. Your financial beliefs aren't hardwired. They're learned responses that can be unlearned and replaced. Just as you absorb scarcity thinking without realizing it, you can consciously choose to absorb abundance thinking instead. The choice becomes available the moment you recognize that it is a choice. The abundance principle wasn't invented, it was discovered. Throughout history, people have noticed this pattern. What you focus on with emotional intensity becomes your financial reality. Ancient wisdom traditions recognized it. Modern quantum physics confirms aspects of it. Successful wealth creators from Andrew Carnegie to Oprah Winfrey have described it in different ways. At its core, the principle works through three connected mechanisms. First, there's perceptual filtering. Your brain processes millions of bits of information every second, but you can only consciously register about 50 bits. Your beliefs about money determine which financial opportunities you notice and which remain invisible to you. Second, there's energetic resonance. Your emotional state creates a specific energy that attracts corresponding circumstances. Financial anxiety creates more reasons for anxiety. Financial appreciation creates more to appreciate. This isn't mystical, it's about how your emotional state affects your decisions, your body language, and how others respond to you. The third mechanism is action alignment. Your subconscious beliefs drive your actions more powerfully than your conscious intentions. When your inner and outer actions align with abundance, results multiply exponentially. When they conflict, you create self-sabotage and frustration. These three mechanisms work together to create your financial reality moment by moment. It's not that one causes the others, they operate simultaneously as different aspects of the same process. Your perceptions influence your emotions, which influence your actions, which influence your perceptions, creating a continuous feedback loop. What makes this principle so powerful is that it operates whether you're aware of it or not. Most people unconsciously use it to create limitation rather than abundance. They focus intensely on what they lack, feel the emotions of scarcity, and take actions based on fear, then wonder why they keep getting more of the same results. The principle doesn't judge or discriminate. It doesn't care whether you use it to create wealth or poverty. It simply responds to your dominant thoughts, feelings, and actions regarding money. It's like electricity, a neutral force that powers whatever you plug into it. The same current that can light up a room can give you a shock if mishandled. Understanding this neutrality is crucial because it removes blame from the equation. If you've been experiencing financial limitation, it's not because you're being punished or because you're unworthy. It's simply because you've been unconsciously directing the abundance principle toward limitation rather than expansion. Change the direction and you change the results. Let me give you an example. Sarah wanted to increase her income and consciously set goals to make more money. But underneath, she carried a belief that wealthy people were somehow bad or greedy. Every time an opportunity for significant income came her way, she found reasons not to pursue it. Her conscious mind wanted wealth, but her subconscious was protecting her from becoming one of those people. This inner conflict is why so many financial strategies fail. People try to create abundance while operating from scarcity consciousness. It's like pressing the gas and brake pedals at the same time and wondering why you're not moving forward. I see this pattern constantly in my work with clients. They set ambitious financial goals, create detailed plans, and take massive action, yet remain stuck at the same income level year after year. When we dig deeper, we invariably find subconscious programming that contradicts their conscious desires. One client, Michael, was a talented consultant who consistently undercharged for his services. On the surface, he wanted to earn more, but deeper investigation revealed a childhood belief that people who charge a lot are taking advantage of others. This hidden belief was more powerful than his conscious desire for higher rates, keeping him financially stuck despite his exceptional skills. Another client, Jennifer, kept attracting employers who undervalued her work. She'd start jobs with enthusiasm only to find herself overworked and underpaid within months. Her conscious goal was a supportive workplace with fair compensation, but her subconscious carried a belief that you have to suffer to earn money. This belief acted like a hidden magnet, repeatedly drawing her to situations that confirmed it. These examples illustrate a crucial truth. Your conscious desires don't create your financial reality. Your subconscious beliefs do. These beliefs operate like software running in the background of your mind, influencing every financial decision you make without your awareness. Until you update this software, no amount of external action will create lasting change. The good news is that once you identify these hidden beliefs, you can change them. Sarah eventually recognized her negative associations with wealth and consciously created new positive associations. Michael reframed his view of pricing to see fair rates as an expression of self-respect rather than exploitation. Jennifer identified and released her suffering equals earning equation, opening herself to more supportive work environments. In each case, the external changes followed the internal shifts. This is the abundance principle in action. Change your relationship with abundance internally, and your external circumstances naturally reorganize to reflect this new relationship. The principle always works from the inside out, not the outside in. Most of us are caught in what I call the scarcity trap. It works like this. You perceive lack in your life, which trigger feelings of anxiety or fear. These emotions drive desperate actions, which create suboptimal results. These results then confirm your perception that lack exists, strengthening the original belief. And round it goes. The cycle becomes self-fulfilling regardless of external circumstances. That's why lottery winners often return to their original financial state within 5 years. They temporarily change their bank account, but not their internal abundance set point. Think of your financial reality like water finding its level. You can temporarily create waves or disruptions, but eventually the water returns to its set level. Your job isn't to create bigger waves, it's to permanently raise the level to which your financial waters naturally settle. The scarcity trap operates through what psychologists call confirmation bias, the tendency to notice evidence that confirms your existing beliefs while filtering out contradictory evidence. If you believe money is hard to come by, your brain will highlight every expense, every financial setback, every story of economic hardship, while simultaneously downplaying or completely missing evidence of abundance around you. This selective perception creates a distorted view of reality that feels completely true to you. You're not lying when you say, money is tight or good opportunities are rare. You're accurately reporting your perception. The problem is that your perception itself has been shaped by beliefs you absorbed long before you could critically evaluate them. The trap becomes even more binding through what I call scarcity behaviors, actions that seem logical in the moment, but actually perpetuate financial limitation. These include obsessively checking bank balances, constantly talking about what you can't afford, making decisions from fear rather than opportunity, and focusing on saving rather than earning. These behaviors feel responsible, but they actually reinforce the very scarcity you're trying to escape. Perhaps the most insidious aspect of the scarcity trap is that it can persist even when your financial circumstances improve. I've worked with clients who've doubled or tripled their income, yet still feel the same financial anxiety they felt when earning much less. Their bank accounts changed, but their relationship with money didn't. This is why external solutions alone never create lasting financial freedom. Breaking free from the scarcity trap requires recognizing that it exists in the first place. Most people are so immersed in scarcity consciousness that they can't see it, just as fish can't see water. The trap feels like reality itself rather than one perspective among many possible perspectives. Seeing beyond it is the first and most crucial step toward financial transformation. So how do you change your abundance set point? It starts with understanding that you have one in the first place. Your current financial situation isn't random, it's the precise reflection of your internal programming about money. This programming began in childhood. What did you hear about money growing up? Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. Rich people are greedy. These messages sank deep into your subconscious, creating the invisible architecture of your financial life. The good news is that what was programmed can be reprogrammed. Your financial destiny isn't fixed. It's waiting for new instructions. But first, you need to become aware of the old programming that's been running your money life on autopilot. This awareness begins with financial archaeology, digging through your past to uncover the origins of your current money beliefs. Think back to your earliest memories involving money. What did you learn from watching your parents handle finances? What stories did your family tell about wealthy people? What experiences shaped your understanding of your own financial worth? These early impressions formed during what psychologists call the imprint period, roughly the first 7 years of life, when your brain absorbed information uncritically. During this time, you weren't capable of questioning what you observed or were told. You simply incorporated it as truth, creating the foundation for your adult relationship with money. For example, if you repeatedly heard, "we can't afford it," as a child, you likely internalized the belief that desirable things are generally out of reach financially. If you watched your parents argue about money, you may have concluded that money causes conflict and is therefore something to avoid. If your family criticized wealthy people, you probably developed unconscious resistance to becoming wealthy yourself. Ochinen, these formative experiences created what I call your money story, the narrative that unconsciously guides your financial decisions today. This story isn't good or bad, right or wrong. It simply reflects what you absorbed before you had the capacity for critical thinking. Recognizing this removes shame from the equation and opens the door to conscious change. Rewriting your money story begins with questioning its basic assumptions. If you believe money is hard to come by, ask yourself, is this objectively true, or is it one perspective among many? Who taught me this belief? How has it served me? How has it limited me? What evidence might contradict it? These questions create space between you and your programming, allowing you to see it as learned rather than innate. Let's do a quick exercise. Close your eyes for a moment and think about doubling your income in the next year. Notice what thoughts and feelings arise. Do you feel excitement and possibility? Or do you feel anxiety, doubt, or even guilt? These instant reactions reveal your true relationship with money. For many people, the idea of significantly more money triggers fear rather than joy. They worry about the taxes, the responsibility, the potential for loss, or what others might think of them. These fears create an energetic ceiling on their wealth, a level beyond which they become too uncomfortable to proceed. Identifying these hidden fears is the first step to dissolving them. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Once you see the invisible barriers you've placed on your abundance, you can begin the work of dismantling them one by one. This dismantling process involves bringing subconscious beliefs into conscious awareness, where they can be examined and challenged. Most money beliefs don't survive this scrutiny because they're based on childhood misunderstandings or outdated information. When exposed to adult reasoning, they begin to lose their power. For instance, many people carry the subconscious belief that more money means more problems. When examined consciously, it becomes clear that while money can create certain complications, it solves far more problems than it creates. Money provides options, security, and freedom that make life's inevitable challenges easier to navigate, not harder. Similarly, the common belief that rich people are unhappy doesn't stand up to rational examination. Research consistently shows that financial security correlates positively with life satisfaction up to the point where basic needs and comforts are reliably met. Beyond that, happiness depends on how money is used rather than how much is possessed, a distinction the subconscious mind doesn't automatically make. Another prevalent belief is that I don't deserve abundance. This often stems from childhood experiences where love and resources seem conditional or limited. The adult mind can recognize that worthiness isn't a prerequisite for abundance. The universe doesn't distribute resources based on moral judgments. Plants don't deserve sunlight. They simply position themselves to receive it. Similarly, financial abundance comes from alignment with certain principles, not from passing some cosmic worthiness test. As you bring these limiting beliefs into conscious awareness, you create space for new, more empowering beliefs to take root. This isn't about positive thinking or affirmations. It's about replacing distorted perceptions with more accurate ones. The goal isn't to convince yourself of something untrue, but to remove the untrue beliefs that have been limiting your financial potential. Your words shape your financial reality more powerfully than you might realize. Scarcity language includes phrases like, I can't afford it, money is tight, or that's too expensive. Each time you speak these words, you're reinforcing neural pathways associated with limitation. Abundance language sounds different. I'm choosing to allocate my resources elsewhere. Money flows to me through multiple channels. Or what creative solutions might make this possible? These phrases open your mind to possibilities rather than limitations. This isn't about denying financial realities. If you have $100 in your account, pretending you have $10,000 isn't helpful. But you can acknowledge the $100 while maintaining an expectation of increase rather than decrease. It's a subtle but crucial difference in perspective. The power of language extends beyond the words you speak to others. It includes your internal dialogue about money. Pay attention to the phrases that run through your mind when you check your bank balance, receive a bill, or consider a purchase. These automatic thoughts reveal your deeper programming and provide opportunities for conscious change. For example, when faced with an unexpected expense, does your mind automatically jump to thoughts like, I can't catch a break, or there's never enough? These thoughts seem like natural responses to the situation, but they're actually interpretations based on your money story. Alternative thoughts like, I always find a way to handle expenses, or this is temporary and manageable, are equally valid interpretations that lead to very different emotional states and actions. Your financial vocabulary also shapes your money reality by determining what possibilities you can conceive. If your only ways of describing financial success are rich or wealthy, you're working with limited conceptual tools. Expanding your vocabulary to include terms like financially free, economically independent, abundantly supplied, or prosperity-minded creates new neural pathways and new possibilities for your financial identity. Language also influences your financial reality through the questions you habitually ask. Scarcity questions like, why am I always broke? Or how will I ever afford this? Direct your brain to find evidence supporting continued lack. Abundance questions like, how can I increase my value to others? Or what opportunities am I not seeing yet? Direct your brain to find creative solutions and overlooked resources. Perhaps most importantly, your language reveals and reinforces your financial identity, your core beliefs about who you are in relation to money. Phrases like, I'm bad with money, or I'll never be financially secure, aren't just descriptions. They're identity statements that your subconscious mind works tirelessly to validate. Shifting to identity statements like, I'm learning to manage money effectively, or I'm becoming more financially confident every day, creates space for genuine transformation. Your emotions are the fuel that powers the abundance principle. You can have all the right thoughts and say all the right words, but if your emotional state contradicts them, you'll create mixed results at best. Financial anxiety is particularly damaging because it triggers your brain's threat response. When you're in survival mode, your brain focuses on immediate threats rather than long-term opportunities. Your creative thinking shuts down. Your perception narrows. You make decisions from fear rather than possibility. Where now, cultivating emotional states that support abundance is therefore essential. Gratitude is particularly powerful because it's impossible to feel grateful and fearful at the same time. When you genuinely appreciate what you already have, you create an emotional foundation for receiving more. Beyond gratitude, other abundance-supporting emotional states include curiosity, enthusiasm, confidence, and peaceful expectation. These emotions create neurochemical environments in your brain that support creative problem-solving, opportunity recognition, and effective action. They literally change how your brain processes information about money. Contrast these with scarcity emotions like worry, resentment, envy, and desperation. These emotional states trigger stress hormones that impair cognitive function, reduce creativity, and promote impulsive decision-making. They create a neurochemical environment that makes financial success significantly more difficult to achieve. The challenge is that emotions often feel involuntary. They seem to happen to us rather than being chosen by us. But while the initial emotional response may be automatic, you can influence what happens next. You can learn to recognize financial anxiety as it arises and consciously shift toward more supportive emotional states through specific practices. One such practice is emotional pivoting, the art of moving from scarcity emotions to abundance emotions through deliberate focus. When you notice financial fear arising, acknowledge it without judgment. Then intentionally direct your attention to something that naturally evokes gratitude or confidence. This isn't about suppressing negative emotions, but about choosing not to dwell in them. Another powerful practice is somatic awareness, paying attention to how emotions manifest in your body. Financial anxiety might appear as chest tightness, shallow breathing, or stomach tension. By recognizing these physical signals early, you can address the emotional state before it hijacks your thinking. Simple interventions like deep breathing, physical movement, or changing posture can interrupt the anxiety cycle before it gains momentum. Most people try to change their financial situation from the outside in working harder, cutting expenses, chasing higher-paying jobs. But lasting wealth comes from inside-out transformation. When you shift your internal abundance set point, external circumstances naturally reorganize around your new financial identity. This inside-out approach works because your external reality is always catching up to your internal state. Think of it like this. Your thoughts are like seeds, your emotions are like water and sunlight, and your physical reality is the eventual harvest. You can't plant apple seeds and expect oranges, no matter how much you might want them. The quality of your financial harvest depends entirely on what you've been planting in your mental garden. If you've been planting worry, fear, and scarcity, that's exactly what will grow. If you want a different harvest, you need to plant different seeds. Inside-out transformation begins with taking full responsibility for your current financial reality. This doesn't mean blaming yourself or denying external challenges. It means recognizing that while you didn't consciously choose your current circumstances, they reflect the sum total of your conscious and unconscious relationship with money up to this point. This level of responsibility feels uncomfortable at first because it contradicts the victim narratives many of us unconsciously maintain about money. It's easier to blame the economy, our employers, our backgrounds, or the system than to acknowledge our role in creating our financial circumstances. But victim narratives, while temporarily comforting, keep us powerless to create change. Taking responsibility empowers you to ask different questions. Instead of, why is this happening to me? You can ask, what is this situation revealing about my relationship with money? Instead of, who's to blame for my financial problems? You can ask, what new choices can I make from this point forward? These questions shift you from passive victim to active creator of your financial life. This shift in perspective is the essence of inside-out transformation. You stop seeing yourself as the effect of external financial causes and start recognizing yourself as the cause of your financial effects. This doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process of reclaiming your power from the people, institutions, and circumstances you've been holding responsible for your financial situation. As your perspective shifts, your actions naturally change. You stop focusing exclusively on external solutions, the next investment strategy, the next business opportunity, the next budget plan, and start addressing the internal patterns that have been creating your financial results. You recognize that while external actions matter, they must be aligned with internal shifts to create lasting change. The abundance principle works through a simple but powerful formula. Clarity plus alignment plus circulation plus appreciation plus detachment. First, get crystal clear about what abundance means to you personally. Vague wishes produce vague results. Define exactly what financial freedom looks like in your life, not someone else's version, but yours. Income would give you the freedom you desire. What assets would provide the security you seek? What experiences would financial abundance make possible? Without this clarity, you're like an archer. Without a target, you might release a lot of arrows, but you're unlikely to hit anything meaningful. Your abundance vision should feel both exciting and believable. If it's too small, it won't motivate you to make necessary changes. If it's too far beyond your current beliefs about what's possible, your subconscious will reject it as fantasy. The sweet spot is a vision that stretches you beyond your comfort zone while remaining within the realm of what you can genuinely believe is possible for you. Alignment requires bringing your conscious desires and subconscious beliefs into harmony. This often involves identifying and resolving contradictions in your financial thinking. For example, you might consciously want to earn more while subconsciously believing that high earners work too hard to enjoy life. Or you might desire wealth while harboring judgments about wealthy people. These contradictions create internal conflict that prevents clear manifestation. And resolving these contradictions isn't about forcing your subconscious to accept your conscious desires. It's about creating a new relationship with money that both aspects of your mind can embrace. This might involve redefining wealth to include balance and enjoyment, or finding examples of ethical, generous, wealthy people who contradict your negative stereotypes. The goal is internal coherence, all parts of you moving in the same direction. Circulation addresses the energy of money in your life. Many people focus exclusively on accumulation while neglecting the equally important principle of flow. They try to hold onto every dollar, not realizing that this constricted approach actually blocks new money from coming to them. Healthy financial circulation includes strategic saving and investment, but it also includes generous giving and joyful receiving. Appreciation means developing genuine gratitude for both current and anticipated abundance. This isn't about pretending to be grateful for things you don't have. It's about recognizing and valuing the abundance that already exists in your life, however small it might seem. Finally, detachment means releasing desperate attachment to specific financial outcomes. This doesn't mean not caring, it means trusting the process enough to let go of controlling exactly how abundance comes to you. Desperation repels money, detachment attracts it. This formula works because it addresses both the internal and external dimensions of wealth creation. It's not enough to change your thinking if your actions contradict your thoughts. And it's not enough to take external actions if your internal state undermines them. The abundance principle requires congruence between inner and outer worlds. Appreciation operates on multiple levels. At the most basic level, it means acknowledging the resources you already have, not just financial resources, but all forms of abundance, including relationships, skills, opportunities, and experiences. This acknowledgement shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, creating an emotional state conducive to further abundance. Deeper appreciation involves recognizing the value in financial challenges themselves. Every money problem contains a lesson or opportunity that, when embraced, leads to greater abundance. The bill you can't pay might be forcing you to develop creativity or courage. The income plateau might be pushing you to develop new skills or perspectives. Appreciating these growth opportunities transforms financial obstacles from enemies to allies. The highest form of appreciation is pre-gratitude, the practice of feeling thankful for abundance that hasn't yet manifested physically, but exists as potential in your life. This isn't about pretending or magical thinking. It's about recognizing that abundance is your natural state and feeling grateful for the return to that state that is already in process, even if not yet complete. Detachment completes the formula by releasing the constricting energy of desperation. When you need money too badly, you create resistance to receiving it. This paradox explains why financial breakthroughs often come when you stop frantically seeking them and instead relaxed into trust and patience. Healthy detachment doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent about money. It means taking inspired action without desperate attachment to immediate results. It means planting financial seeds and tending them faithfully while trusting nature's timing for the harvest. This balanced approach keeps you engaged in the creation process without the anxious energy that blocks natural abundance flow. The entire formula, clarity, alignment, circulation, appreciation, and detachment, creates a comprehensive approach to abundance that addresses every aspect of your relationship with money. It's not a one-time application, but an ongoing practice that gradually transforms your financial reality from the inside out. Let's talk about practical implementation. How do you actually apply the abundance principle in daily life? Start with a morning abundance priming ritual. Before checking emails or social media, spend 5 minutes visualizing and feeling financial flow. See money coming to you easily. Feel the emotions of financial freedom. This sets your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters information, to notice opportunities throughout the day. Next, begin a prosperity journal. Each evening, write down evidence of abundance you notice that day. This trains your mind to focus on plenty rather than scarcity. Include everything from finding a quarter on the sidewalk to receiving an unexpected discount or compliment. Nothing is too small to acknowledge. Practice strategic generosity. Give in ways that make you feel abundant rather than depleted. This might be leaving a slightly larger tip, buying coffee for a stranger, or donating to a cause you care about. The amount matters less than the feeling behind it. The morning ritual is particularly powerful because it influences your entire day. Your first thoughts upon waking set the tone for your mental and emotional state. Most people immediately check news or social media, exposing themselves to financial fear and scarcity messages before they've even fully awakened. This unconsciously activates scarcity programming that colors their perceptions for hours afterward. By contrast, intentionally focusing on abundance first thing creates a protective filter that helps you maintain a prosperity mindset, regardless of what you encounter later. It's like applying a waterproof coating before walking into rain. The negative messages still exist, but they don't penetrate as deeply or affect you as strongly. The Prosperity Journal works by deliberately redirecting your attention. Your brain naturally focuses on problems and threats it's designed for survival, not happiness or abundance. By consciously documenting evidence of prosperity each day, you override this negative bias and train your brain to notice positive financial patterns instead. Start with obvious forms of abundance: the money you received, the bills you were able to pay, the purchases you made. Then expand to less obvious forms, compliments that reflect your value, ideas that could lead to income, problems you solve that save money. Finally, include indirect abundance, beautiful experiences that didn't cost money, resources you didn't need to use, time saved through efficiency. Strategic generosity counteracts one of the most damaging aspects of scarcity thinking, the belief that giving depletes you. When you give from a place of abundance consciousness, you actually increase your sense of wealth rather than diminishing it. You demonstrate to yourself and the universe that you have more than enough, a powerful statement that tends to create corresponding external reality. Create a wealth environment around you. Your physical surroundings and social connections profoundly impact your financial consciousness. Declutter your space to create room for new abundance. Surround yourself with people who demonstrate healthy, positive relationships with money. Limit exposure to financial fear-mongering in media. Find an abundance accountability partner, someone committed to practicing these principles alongside you. Meet regularly to share wins, work through challenges, and hold each other accountable for maintaining abundance consciousness, even when circumstances tempt you back into scarcity thinking. These practices bridge the gap between abstract principle and concrete financial results. They're not one-time events, but ongoing habits that gradually reshape your relationship with money from the inside out. Your physical environment constantly reinforces your beliefs about money, often without your awareness. Clutter, disorganization, and neglect send powerful subconscious messages about how you value resources. Broken items you haven't fixed, spaces you haven't maintained, and possessions you don't use all contribute to a subtle but pervasive sense of scarcity and stagnation. Transforming your environment doesn't necessarily mean spending money on new things. It means honoring what you already have through organization, repair, and thoughtful arrangement. It means creating spaces that feel abundant and well cared for, regardless of their monetary value. This environmental shift supports your internal abundance work by providing constant visual and tactile reinforcement of your new relationship with resources. Your social environment is equally important. The 5 people you spend the most time with shape your financial beliefs and expectations more powerfully than you might realize. Their attitudes toward money, their financial habits, and their level of prosperity all influence your own abundance set point through a process psychologists call social contagion. This doesn't mean abandoning friends who are struggling financially. It means being intentional about including prosperity-minded people in your circle, and perhaps being more selective about how much financial discussion you engage in with those who reinforce scarcity thinking. It also means seeking out mentors, either in person or through books and other media, who model the financial mindset you want to develop. Media consumption significantly impacts your abundance consciousness. Most news, entertainment, and social media platforms profit from fear and scarcity. They're literally designed to trigger anxiety that keeps you consuming more content. Limiting exposure to these sources and deliberately seeking out abundance-focused alternatives can dramatically shift your financial energy. Meanwhile, an abundance accountability partner provides support for the inevitable challenges that arise during financial transformation. When you're tempted to revert to old scarcity patterns during stress or setbacks, this partner reminds you of your commitment to a new way of relating to money. They celebrate your wins, help you process your fears, and keep you focused on long-term transformation rather than short-term circumstances. Implementing the abundance principle inevitably triggers resistance in three forms. Understanding these in advance helps you navigate them successfully. First, there's internal resistance. Your subconscious mind resists change, even positive change. You might experience unexpected fears, doubts, or even sabotaging behaviors as you shift your abundance set point. This isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's a natural part of the rewiring process. Second, there's external resistance. People around you may react negatively to your changing relationship with money. Some might feel threatened by your growth or try to pull you back to your familiar financial identity. Others might dismiss your new approach as unrealistic or naive. Third, there's systemic resistance. Our economic systems contain very real challenges and inequities. Acknowledging these realities while refusing to grant them defining power over your financial future requires a delicate balance. Internal resistance often manifests as self-sabotage just when you're making progress. You might suddenly overspend after weeks of careful money management. You might procrastinate on a promising financial opportunity. You might pick a fight with someone who could help your career. These behaviors aren't random. They're your subconscious mind's attempt to return to familiar territory. This resistance occurs because your brain interprets any significant change as potentially threatening, even positive change. Your current financial identity, however limiting, feels safe because it's known. A new financial identity, however promising, feels risky because it's unknown. Your brain's primary job is keeping you safe, not making you wealthy, so it naturally resists the unfamiliar. And understanding this biological reality helps you respond to internal resistance with compassion rather than self-judgment. Instead of berating yourself for backsliding, you can recognize it as a natural part of the change process and gently redirect yourself toward your abundance goals. This compassionate approach actually accelerates transformation by reducing the additional resistance created by self-criticism. Neuromorphonos, external resistance comes from people who are invested in your current financial identity. Your shift toward abundance consciousness can trigger their insecurities about their own relationship with money. Their negative reactions, skepticism, criticism, or even sabotage are really about their issues, not yours, though they may not realize this themselves. Navigating this resistance requires setting healthy boundaries without becoming defensive or evangelical about your new approach. You don't need to convince others of the validity of the abundance principle. You only need to remain committed to it yourself. Sometimes this means limiting financial discussions with certain people. Other times it means finding new social connections that support your growth. Systemic resistance includes very real economic challenges like income inequality, discrimination, and limited access to resources. Acknowledging these realities doesn't mean accepting them as permanent limitations on your financial potential. It means recognizing the additional effort that might be required to overcome them while maintaining your commitment to personal abundance regardless of external circumstances. Your financial transformation to the abundance principle typically follows a predictable timeline. Understanding this prevents premature abandonment of the process. During the first month, you'll primarily experience heightened awareness of scarcity patterns. You'll notice how often you think and speak from lack rather than abundance. This awareness can be uncomfortable, but it's essential for change. In months 1 through 3, emotional turbulence is common as old patterns begin to dissolve. You might feel unusually anxious about money or experience mood swings between excitement and doubt. This emotional processing is your system releasing old programming. Between months 3 and 6, you'll begin to see initial evidence of financial shift. This might come as unexpected income, new opportunities, or simply a greater sense of peace around money. These early signs confirm you're on the right track. The awareness phase often feels worse before it feels better. Before implementing the abundance principle, you were unconsciously operating from scarcity, without realizing it. Now you're noticing these patterns consciously, which can create the impression that things are getting worse when you're actually making progress. It's like turning on a light in a dusty room. The dust was always there, but now you can see it clearly enough to clean it. During this phase, practice self-compassion while maintaining vigilant awareness. Each time you catch yourself in scarcity thinking, gently redirect toward abundance without self-criticism. This consistent redirection begins rewiring neural pathways that have been reinforcing financial limitation for years or even decades. The emotional turbulence of months 1 through 3 reflects your nervous system's adjustment to new patterns. Your body has become accustomed to certain emotional states around money, likely some combination of anxiety, resignation, frustration, and brief relief when bills are paid. As you implement abundance practices, these familiar emotional patterns are disrupted, creating temporary discomfort. During this phase, emotional regulation becomes crucial. Regular practices like meditation, physical exercise, adequate sleep, and time in nature help stabilize your nervous system during the transition. Journaling provides an outlet for processing emotions without acting on them impulsively. Connecting with others who understand the process provides reassurance that the turbulence is normal and temporary. The initial evidence phase brings welcome confirmation that your internal work is creating external change. These early signs might be subtle. Perhaps you handle an unexpected expense with less anxiety than usual, or you notice financial opportunities you would have previously missed. They might also be more tangible, a small bonus, a refund you weren't expecting, or a new income possibility. The key during this phase is to acknowledge and appreciate these signs without becoming fixated on them. They're indicators that the process is working, not the final destination. Celebrating them energetically while maintaining your abundance practices keeps the momentum building toward larger manifestations. From months 6 through 12, more substantial financial reorganization typically occurs. This is when larger opportunities, promotions, new income streams, or significant savings might materialize. Your relationship with money feels noticeably different by this stage. In years 1 through 3, complete financial transformation becomes possible. Your new abundance set point stabilizes, creating a new normal that would have seemed impossible when you began. The principles that once required conscious effort now operate automatically in your life. This timeline isn't rigid. Some people experience faster results while others take longer. The key is persistent application of the principles without becoming discouraged by temporary setbacks or plateaus. Financial transformation is rarely a straight line upward. It's more often a spiral with periods of integration between growth spurts. The reorganization phase often includes both internal and external changes. Internally, you'll notice that abundance thinking becomes more natural and requires less conscious effort. Your emotional responses to financial situations become more balanced and constructive. Your identity begins shifting from someone who struggles with money to someone who manages it effectively and attracts it naturally. Externally, your financial circumstances begin reorganizing to match your new internal state. This might involve changes in your work situation, perhaps a promotion, a new position, or an entrepreneurial opportunity. It might include changes in your spending and saving patterns as you naturally make choices aligned with long-term abundance rather than short-term gratification. It might also involve changes in who you spend time with as you're drawn to people who share your new financial perspective. During this phase, maintaining momentum is crucial. It's common to become complacent as initial results appear, reducing the consistency of your abundance practices. This can slow or even reverse progress. Continuing daily abundance rituals, regular journaling, and conscious language choices keeps the transformation process active even as external circumstances improve. The stabilization phase of years 1 through 3 represents the integration of abundance consciousness as your new normal. What began as conscious practices becomes your natural way of thinking, feeling, and acting around money. You no longer need to remind yourself to focus on abundance. It's simply how you perceive the world. This stabilization doesn't mean financial challenges never occur. It means you respond to them from abundance consciousness rather than scarcity consciousness. When unexpected expenses arise, you automatically look for the opportunity or lesson within them rather than spiraling into anxiety. When income fluctuates, you maintain confidence in your ability to generate more rather than fearing permanent loss. Throughout the entire timeline, patience and persistence are essential. Financial transformation is a marathon, not a sprint. Each small shift in consciousness creates ripples of change that eventually transform your entire financial reality. Trusting this process even during apparent plateaus or temporary setbacks allows the abundance principle to work its full magic in your life. Let's address some common questions about the abundance principle. First, does this mean anyone can become a billionaire just by changing their thinking? Not necessarily. The abundance principle doesn't guarantee specific dollar amounts. It aligns you with your highest financial potential given your unique skills, circumstances, and purpose. Second, is this just about getting more stuff? No. True abundance includes material comfort, but extends far beyond it to include time freedom, meaningful work, fulfilling relationships, and contribution to others. Many people find that as their abundance consciousness expands, their definition of wealth becomes more holistic. Third, does this work for everyone regardless of background or circumstances? The principles themselves are universal, but their application and results vary widely based on individual factors. Someone starting with significant structural advantages will likely see different external results than someone facing systemic barriers, even with identical internal shifts. Fourth, isn't this just the secret or a law of attraction repackaged? While there are similarities to other abundance teachings, the abundance principle differs in its emphasis on practical application rather than magical thinking. It acknowledges the role of action, the reality of systemic challenges, and the necessity of addressing subconscious programming rather than simply focusing on positive thoughts. Fifth, how does this relate to spiritual teachings about detachment from material things? Many spiritual traditions distinguish between unhealthy attachment to wealth and healthy stewardship of resources. The abundance principle aligns with the latter, viewing money as a tool for creating value rather than an end in itself. It promotes a balanced relationship with material resources rather than either rejection or obsession. Sixth, what if I try this and nothing changes? If you're not seeing results, it usually indicates either inconsistent application of the principles or deeper subconscious blocks that require additional work to resolve. The abundance principle always works when properly applied, but proper application sometimes requires more time or more targeted approaches than initially expected. Seventh, isn't focusing on abundance selfish when so many people are struggling? Actually, developing abundance consciousness enables you to contribute more effectively to others. You can't give what you don't have, whether that's money, time, energy, or attention. By increasing your own abundance, you increase your capacity to address the needs around you in sustainable ways. Eighth, how does this principle work during economic downturns or personal financial crises? Challenging circumstances actually provide the most powerful opportunities to apply the abundance principle. While external conditions may limit certain options temporarily, maintaining abundance consciousness during difficulty positions you to recover more quickly and often emerge stronger than before. Ninth, do I need to believe in a higher power for this to work? The abundance principle operates based on how consciousness interacts with reality, regardless of your spiritual or religious beliefs. Some people frame it in religious terms, others in quantum physics terms, and still others in psychological terms. The framework you choose is less important than consistent application of the principles themselves. 10th, can this help with debt? Absolutely. Many people have used these principles to transform overwhelming debt into manageable and eventually eliminated obligations. The key is approaching debt from abundance consciousness rather than shame or fear, seeing it as a temporary situation rather than a permanent identity. 11th, how does this relate to practical financial management? The abundance principle complements rather than replaces sound financial practices. Budgeting, saving, investing, and income generation remain important, but they become more effective when approached from abundance consciousness rather than scarcity consciousness. 12th, can children learn these principles? Not only can they learn them, but childhood is actually the ideal time to establish abundance consciousness. Children naturally Not only can they learn them, but childhood is actually the ideal time to establish abundance consciousness. Children naturally think in terms of possibility until they're conditioned otherwise. Teaching them healthy relationships with money early prevents the need to unlearn scarcity programming later. 13th, how do I know if I'm making progress? Progress often appears first as changes in how you feel and think about money, then as changes in how you talk about it, then as changes in your financial behaviors, and finally as changes in your external circumstances. Tracking all these dimensions provides a comprehensive picture of your transformation. 14th, what if my partner or family doesn't support this approach? While it's helpful to have support, you can successfully apply these principles even if those around you don't share your perspective. Your consciousness is yours to direct, regardless of external circumstances. As your energy shifts, you may find others naturally becoming more receptive, or you may attract new connections who support your growth. 15th, is this just for people who want to be rich? The abundance principle applies to everyone who wants a healthier relationship with money, regardless of their specific financial goals. Some use it to create vast wealth, others to achieve comfortable security, and still others to find peace and balance with whatever resources they have. The principles work for all these objectives and everything in between. 16th, how does this relate to manifestation teachings? The abundance principle includes manifestation, but goes beyond it to address the subconscious programming that often blocks manifestation efforts. It's not just about attracting what you want, but about removing the internal barriers that prevent you from receiving it. The ultimate expression of the abundance principle transcends personal gain. As your financial consciousness expands, you naturally contribute to collective abundance through creating value that serves others. Highest application. Employing and empowering others, investing in solutions to global challenges, and modeling abundance consciousness for future generations. This expansion from personal to collective abundance represents the principle. Many who master these principles find themselves drawn to philanthropy, social entrepreneurship, or other forms of giving back. They discover that the joy of creating abundance for others far exceeds the pleasure of accumulating for themselves. This reflects a fundamental truth. Abundance multiplies when shared. Unlike physical resources that diminish when divided, consciousness resources like love, creativity, and abundance actually increase through sharing. The more you give of these qualities, the more you have to give. The progression from personal to collective abundance follows a natural evolution. Initially, most people apply the abundance principle to address their own financial challenges and fulfill their personal desires. This self-focused stage is necessary and appropriate. You must secure your own oxygen mask before helping others with theirs. As personal financial needs are met, most people naturally expand their focus to include family and close friends. They begin using their growing resources to support loved ones, create shared experiences, and build generational wealth. This extension of abundance consciousness strengthens relationships and creates supportive networks that further reinforce prosperity. With continued expansion, abundance consciousness typically extends to community involvement. This might include supporting local businesses, mentoring others in financial principles, or contributing to community development. At this stage, people begin recognizing that their prosperity is connected to the prosperity of their broader environment. The most expanded expression of abundance consciousness encompasses global and even universal concerns. People at this stage often direct significant resources toward addressing systemic challenges, supporting innovative solutions, and creating structures that enable others to develop their own abundance consciousness. They recognize that true wealth includes living in a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. This evolution doesn't necessarily mean giving away all your money or dedicating your life exclusively to service. It means recognizing that the highest use of abundance is creating more abundance for yourself and others simultaneously. It means moving from a zero-sum perspective, where your gain must come at someone else's expense, to a win-win perspective, where your prosperity can catalyze prosperity for many. The shift toward collective abundance also creates a powerful feedback loop that enhances your personal prosperity. When you create value for others, you naturally receive more in return. When you help others develop abundance consciousness, you strengthen your own. When you invest in solutions to shared challenges, you create a more abundant world for yourself to live in. Let me share a personal story. Years ago, I was deeply trapped in scarcity thinking. Despite working multiple jobs, I could never seem to get ahead financially. Bills piled up faster than income. Debt grew month by month. I blamed the economy, my employers, the system, everything except my own relationship with money. Then I encountered these principles and began applying them, skeptically at first. I started noticing how often I spoke about money from a place of lack. I began challenging beliefs I'd held since childhood about rich people being somehow bad or greedy. I practiced gratitude for the money that was already flowing, however modestly, through my life. The changes weren't overnight, but they were profound. Within 6 months, unexpected opportunities began appearing. A skill I'd taken for granted suddenly became valuable to others. My income started growing, slowly at first, then more rapidly. But more importantly, my anxiety about money began to dissolve. My scarcity thinking had created a particular kind of blindness. I literally couldn't see opportunities that were right in front of me because they didn't fit my belief about how money worked. I was convinced that financial success required struggle, so I overlooked easier paths. I believed that significant income only came through traditional employment, so I dismissed entrepreneurial possibilities. I thought wealth required special connections or advantages I didn't have, so I didn't recognize the unique value I could offer. As these limiting beliefs dissolved, my perception expanded. I began noticing needs I could fill, problems I could solve, and opportunities for collaboration that had been invisible to me before. Money started flowing from directions I hadn't anticipated and in ways I couldn't have planned. The universe seemed to be cooperating with my new financial perspective in ways that felt almost magical at times. Perhaps the most significant shift was emotional. The constant background anxiety about money that had been my companion for decades gradually faded. I still took financial responsibility seriously, but without the fear and stress that had previously accompanied it. I could look at my bank account without a knot in my stomach. I could receive bills without dread. I could make purchases without guilt. This emotional freedom was worth more than the actual increase in income. My relationships improved as well. Without realizing it, I had been bringing financial stress into every interaction, creating tension even in situations that had nothing to do with money. As this stress dissolved, I became more present, more generous, and more enjoyable to be around. People responded differently to me, opening doors that had previously remained closed. Even my health benefited from the shift in consciousness. The chronic stress of financial anxiety had been taking a physical toll that I hadn't fully recognized. As that stress diminished, sleep improved, digestion normalized, and energy increased. I hadn't anticipated these physical benefits, but they created a virtuous cycle that further enhanced my ability to create and receive abundance. Today, my relationship with money is completely transformed. Abundance flows not because I'm special or lucky, but because I've aligned with principles that were always available to me. The same principles are available to you right now, waiting for you to apply them. The journey isn't always easy. You'll face doubts, setbacks, and challenges along the way. Old patterns will resurface when you least expect them. The world around you will continue promoting scarcity and fear. But with persistent practice, you can establish a new relationship with abundance that transcends these temporary obstacles. Remember that financial transformation begins with a single thought, a single choice to see differently. Each time you catch yourself in scarcity thinking and consciously choose abundance instead, you're rewiring neural pathways that have shaped your financial reality for years or even decades. This rewiring process happens one moment at a time, one choice at a time. It's rarely dramatic or sudden. It's more like water gradually reshaping stone through consistent flow. Each abundance thought might seem insignificant in isolation, but collectively they create powerful transformation over time. The most challenging aspect of this journey is maintaining consistency during apparent setbacks. When bills pile up, when unexpected expenses arise, when income drops temporarily, these situations naturally trigger old scarcity patterns. Your ability to maintain abundance consciousness despite challenging circumstances determines how quickly those circumstances will transform. This doesn't mean denying reality or pretending problems don't exist. It means acknowledging challenges while simultaneously holding a broader perspective that includes solutions, opportunities, and eventual resolution. It means feeling the fear or anxiety that arises without allowing it to determine your thoughts, words, or actions. Throughout this process, self-compassion is essential. You've been programmed for scarcity since childhood, and these patterns won't disappear overnight. When you catch yourself in old thinking, gentle redirection works better than harsh self-criticism. Each failure is actually a success in awareness. You can't change patterns you don't notice. The paradox of financial transformation is that it happens most effectively when you focus less on money itself and more on your relationship with universal abundance. Money is just one expression of abundance, a symbol rather than the substance. As you align with the principle of abundance in all areas of life, the financial expression naturally follows. You stand at a crossroads right now. You can continue with the financial patterns that have created your current reality, or you can align with the abundance principle and watch as your money story transforms. This isn't about magical thinking. It's about working with the laws of consciousness that shape all human experience, including your financial life. The abundance principle has always been operating in your life. The only question is whether it's been working for you or against you. By consciously aligning with this principle, you don't just improve your bank account, you fundamentally transform your relationship with the abundant universe that has been waiting for you to notice it all along. The choice is yours, and it begins with the very next thought you think about money. Will it be a thought of scarcity or a thought of abundance? Your financial future hangs in the balance of that decision. Choose wisely, choose consciously, and watch as the abundance principle begins working its magic in your life. This choice isn't a one-time decision, but a moment-by-moment practice. Each financial thought, word, and action either reinforces scarcity or cultivates abundance. The cumulative effect of these choices creates your financial reality over time. No single choice determines your destiny, but collectively they create the path you walk. The beautiful truth is that you can begin exactly where you are, with whatever resources you currently have. You don't need to wait until debts are paid, until you have a better job, or until external circumstances improve. The shift in consciousness that activates the abundance principle is available to you in this very moment, regardless of your current financial situation. This shift begins with a simple but profound question. What would abundance consciousness see in this situation that scarcity consciousness misses? Ask this question when facing bills, when considering opportunities, when making purchases, when interacting with others about money. The answers will reveal new possibilities that were always present but previously invisible to you. As you consistently choose abundance consciousness, you'll notice your financial energy shifting. Anxiety gives way to confidence. Resignation transforms into expectation. Limitation expands into possibility. These internal shifts precede external changes, but inevitably lead to them through the operation of the abundance principle. The world needs your abundance. When you live from scarcity, you not only limit yourself, but diminish what you can offer others. When you embrace abundance, you become a channel through which prosperity flows to everyone you touch. Your financial liberation isn't just a personal benefit, it's a gift to the collective. I invite you to begin this journey today. Start with one small shift in how you think, speak, or act regarding money. Notice the difference it makes in how you feel. Build on that feeling with another small shift tomorrow and another the day after. These incremental changes compound over time, eventually creating the financial transformation you desire. The journey toward abundance consciousness isn't linear. It unfolds in spirals of growth, integration, and expansion. As you implement these principles, you'll notice certain patterns emerging. First comes awareness, as you begin recognizing scarcity thoughts that previously operated below your conscious radar. This awareness can feel uncomfortable initially, like turning on a light in a dark room and suddenly seeing dust everywhere. Remember that noticing these patterns is progress, not failure. Next comes the practice phase, where you consciously redirect scarcity thoughts toward abundance whenever you catch them. This redirection feels awkward at first, like learning any new skill. Your mind will resist, offering compelling reasons why scarcity thinking is more realistic or responsible. This resistance is normal. It's your brain's attempt to maintain familiar neural pathways rather than create new ones. The integration phase follows as new thought patterns become more natural and require less conscious effort. You'll find yourself automatically perceiving abundance where you once saw only lack. Your emotional responses to financial situations will shift from anxiety to curiosity, from fear to confidence. These internal changes precede external manifestations, but inevitably lead to them. Many people abandon the process before reaching the manifestation phase, not realizing how close they are to breakthrough. Financial transformation often follows what I call the bamboo principle. When farmers plant bamboo, nothing visible happens for up to 5 years as the plant develops an extensive root system underground. Then suddenly the bamboo shoots upward, growing up to 3 feet in a single day. Your abundance consciousness develops in a similar pattern, invisible roots forming before visible growth appears. The manifestation phase brings tangible evidence of your consciousness shift. This might begin with small synchronicities, finding money unexpectedly, receiving discounts without asking, or noticing opportunities you would have previously missed. These abundance breadcrumbs confirm you're on the right path and encourage continued practice. As your new consciousness stabilizes, larger manifestations follow: job offers, business opportunities, investment returns, or debt resolutions that seemed impossible before. Throughout this process, your definition of abundance itself will likely evolve. Many begin seeking simple financial security, enough to pay bills without stress. As this need is met, they discover deeper desires for freedom, impact, or creative expression. True abundance ultimately transcends money entirely, encompassing rich experiences, meaningful relationships, and contribution to others. The abundance principle works at each level, meeting you where you are and expanding as you do. One of the most powerful accelerators in this journey is finding your abundance tribe, people who share your commitment to prosperity consciousness. This might include formal mentors, accountability partners, or simply friends who maintain a positive relationship with money. These connections provide support during challenges, celebrate your wins without jealousy, and offer perspectives that expand your thinking. In a world dominated by scarcity messages, this supportive community becomes an essential counterbalance. The ultimate test of your abundance consciousness comes during financial challenges. Anyone can maintain positive thoughts when everything's going well. The real transformation appears when you face unexpected expenses, income reductions, or economic downturns. Can you maintain your connection to abundance even then? This capacity to stand in abundance consciousness, regardless of external circumstances, represents mastery of the principle and guarantees your long-term financial resilience. Remember that abundance consciousness isn't just about receiving, it's equally about giving. As your financial situation improves, look for opportunities to circulate your resources in ways that create value for others. This might mean investing in businesses that solve important problems, supporting causes you believe in, or simply being more generous in daily interactions. This circulation completes the abundance cycle and ensures continued flow. The language you use about money creates powerful subconscious programming. Notice phrases like, "I can't afford it," "money doesn't grow on trees," or "that's too expensive." These seemingly innocent statements reinforce scarcity neural pathways. Replace them with empowering alternatives. "I'm choosing to allocate my resources elsewhere." "Money flows to me through multiple channels," or "what creative solutions might make this possible?" This linguistic shift might feel artificial at first, but gradually rewires your financial thinking. Your relationship with money mirrors your deeper relationship with receiving in general. Many people struggle financially because they're uncomfortable receiving in other areas: compliments, help, love, or recognition. They may believe they must earn everything through struggle, or that receiving makes them somehow indebted or weak. Healing this broader relationship with receiving often resolves financial blocks that seemed unrelated to money. Visualization plays a crucial role in financial transformation, but not in the way many people think. Effective visualization isn't about daydreaming about wealth or creating vision boards, though these can be helpful. It's about consistently imagining yourself responding to money situations from abundance rather than scarcity. See yourself checking your bank account with calm confidence. Imagine receiving bills with appreciation for the services they represent. Visualize making financial decisions from a place of clarity rather than fear. The emotions you associate with money determine its flow more powerfully than your thoughts or actions. Many people maintain positive thoughts about money while harboring negative emotions, anxiety, shame, resentment, or unworthiness. These emotions create an energetic barrier that blocks abundance regardless of your conscious intentions. Regular emotional inventory helps identify and release these hidden barriers, allowing your positive intentions to manifest more effectively. Your financial set point, the level of abundance you unconsciously believe you deserve, was largely established in childhood based on what you observed in your family. If your parents struggled financially, you likely absorbed the belief that struggle is normal. If they fought about money, you may have concluded that money causes conflict. These early impressions created your financial thermostat that maintains a consistent level of abundance or scarcity regardless of temporary fluctuations. Changing this set point requires identifying and challenging these core beliefs. Ask yourself, what did money mean in my family? What did I learn about wealthy people? What financial truths did I absorb that might actually be limiting perspectives? As you bring these unconscious beliefs into awareness, you can consciously choose new beliefs that support rather than limit your prosperity. The most powerful question you can ask when facing any financial situation is, what would abundance consciousness do here? This question interrupts automatic scarcity responses and opens space for new possibilities. When unexpected expenses arise, abundance consciousness might see opportunities for creative solutions rather than disasters. When investment opportunities appear, abundance consciousness might evaluate potential rather than just risk. This simple question consistently redirects your financial energy toward expansion rather than contraction. Many spiritual traditions teach detachment from material concerns, leading some to believe that focusing on financial abundance is somehow unspiritual. But true spirituality isn't about rejecting the material world. It's about bringing higher consciousness into all aspects of life, including money. Abundance consciousness represents spiritual principles applied to financial reality, recognizing the infinite nature of supply, practicing trust rather than fear, and using resources to create value rather than simply accumulate. The relationship between giving and receiving creates a powerful abundance dynamic. Many people focus exclusively on getting more money without considering how they're giving value to others. This imbalanced approach creates resistance in the natural flow of abundance. When you shift focus to how you can contribute more value, more service, more solutions, the receiving side naturally expands to maintain equilibrium. This giving-focused approach paradoxically creates greater abundance than direct pursuit of money itself. Your physical environment constantly reinforces your financial consciousness. Clutter, disrepair, and disorder subtly communicate scarcity to your subconscious mind. Creating an environment that feels abundant, regardless of its monetary value, supports